Hello. So I'm here alone in my office late at night. Why am I here? I'm here to make a video for you. So I'm here to talk briefly about some of the areas that the Hastings Community Land Trust, which is the organisation I've been working for the best part of the last year, is working. What we're trying to do is to provide affordable housing and in some ways, if we can, try and alleviate some of the social challenges that are affecting parts of Hastings. We're working in two main areas. We work in the White Rock area, which is an area that kind of we've loosely defined. It's the town centre and a little bit of a sprawl towards St Leonard's. It's the sort of hinterland between the two. My presentation's in the wrong place. There we go. So this is what we're trying to do in the White Rock area. Basically, we're trying to provide affordable housing around Hastings. In the White Rock area, we're trying to do that by buying up properties which are underused or disused, letting them out, renovating them using local tradespeople, and then letting them out affordably. When we say affordably, for the most part, we mean what we're calling living rents. Living rents are set at about a third of the average local income, because we believe that the average person in Hastings working full-time shouldn't really have to spend more than about a third of their income on rent. We also recognise that there's a lot of people in Hastings who are earning far below the average local income, and we try to provide some housing for them. It's a little bit harder to do that because it's hard to make those sums stack up, but we do intend to provide some housing at social rents and local housing allowance rents. In the White Rock area, we've just bought our first building. To do that, we gathered up to around 15 local people who were willing to invest between £5,000 and £10,000, I think it was. They invested up to about £150,000, and we got some grant funding, and we got a little bit of help from the local council, which allowed us to buy our first property, 39 Cambridge Road, which was an empty insurance brokers, ex-insurance brokers. Now we hope to turn that into 4 affordable flats using our living rents, and then we're going to cap those rents so they only ever rise at the rate of inflation. Hope to have that ready by May, but as I say, that's only about 4 flats. So let me tell you about our bigger project. This is what we're trying to do in the All Valley, and I may have already bored some of you with this before. You might have been to the site, you might have visited, who knows. Here's a picture of it from very high up in the air. This is it. That's probably, I don't know, 60, 70 years ago maybe. When it was a coal-powered fire station. That's probably more like 50, 60 years ago when it was oil-powered. And then it got pulled down. There's some information about ore, a little brief potted history. Used to have quite a lot of industry. All of that industry disappeared. A lot of the housing that was built in ore was specifically built to service that industry. A lot of the estates were built to bring people down from London to come and work in the factories and all the other places that were there. Since those places shut down about 40 plus years ago, the areas around there have struggled to sort of make ends meet in a lot of ways. They've also been in a lot of ways forgotten or neglected by central and local government, because it's social housing. It's where, it's not where the rich people live, it's where your average odds live, and so because of that there's been a lack of investment, and all sorts of other problems have happened, leading these places to be some of the most deprived in Hastings, and in fact in the top 1% of most deprived in the UK. Now, as I say, some people don't like us using the word deprivation about the area, and I can completely understand it's got negative connotations. But as I say, to my mind, I think deprivation is more of a reflection on national and local government's failings to an area rather than it is a reflection on that community. So as you can see, Baird Ward there is 89th out of 32, nearly 33,000 neighbourhoods in the UK. Trestle is 227th, most deprived, and that measures all sorts of things like child poverty, elderly people in poverty, access to education, access to healthcare, general health, income, various other things are factored in there. So what we're hoping is that by regenerating this piece of land and trying to create some sort of links between the land and the people, we can hopefully try to ameliorate some of those effects. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to build 75 plus affordable homes in the area, and when we say affordable in this instance, we've got a fair old mix here. So we've got a number of these houses are going to go out at social rents. That's for people with very little income who need help with living costs. Very little to no income. Local housing allowance rents, that's for people with slightly more income but who still need assistance with living costs. And our living rents, which is basically, as I said, based on about a third of the average local income. And again, we're going to cap the rents. There will be some leasehold sales of these properties, but there will be covenants in those leasehold sales saying that if you do try and resell them in future, you can only ever sell them for affordable rates. That way we hope to be able to control all of the housing in this development so that it remains genuinely affordable forever. That is our plan. There are various other aspects of this. It's a very involved process, but I'm not going to keep you too long because it gets really boring looking at someone talking and staring at a screen. So here's some pretty pictures. This is a rough idea of what we want the site to look like. This plan has changed since, not massively, but there has been some modifications. Here's a top-down view. There's loads of these ponds have gone, for example. These ponds aren't actually real. But yeah, as you can see, these are beautiful houses. The roofs of all of these houses are actually solar panels. In theory, these houses generate twice as much electricity as they use, so they're extremely modern, forward-thinking, low bills, and tiny carbon footprint. So we're hoping to build some really good quality, really green, really nice houses for people. Look at these ones. These fit in amongst the trees because they are on stilts. So we're hoping to build these on the big steep incline at the back, which means that we won't have to do too much major land moving, but also it means we can keep all the trees there and we can just plop these houses in amongst them so people can live in amongst the trees in their little mountain pods. How great is that? And at the same time, we're hoping to try and use a process called Organisation Workshop to create about 100+ jobs for people with barriers to conventional employment. And those jobs will be in various fields, we hope, from administration to logistics to building to childcare to catering to all sorts. Basically, we need to have about 100 people come into the site who will then transform this site from start to finish. They'll do the building, they'll look after each other's kids, they'll do all of these wonderful things. And there's a lot of jobs to be created when you're trying to create 75 new homes. So we don't want to bring in an outside contractor and employ all of their employees. We want to try and find people who really need these jobs to come and deliver the housing. And they'll be given all the support that we can give them in partnership with the local college campus. There's a college campus right next door which specialises in construction. So we'll be bringing them in to try and skill people up, give them the opportunity to learn new skills and to create jobs for themselves. I can go into more detail about this, and I might well do in another video soon. For now, I'm gonna let you go, but not until I've told you what you've got to do and do your homework. What you've got to do is write a letter or an email or anything to your local councillor and just ask them to try and support us as much as possible. We're asking them to make a decision on giving us this piece of land, and we're asking them to make that decision on the 5th of March, because if they don't make it then, there'll be a local election, which means they won't be able to make the decision until June or July. Which would be massively detrimental to our timelines. We don't want to have to do this organisation workshop in the rain, largely because it's taken 100 people to try and build a building. We don't want to do that in the horrible weather of winter. We'd rather do it in the summer. And there's loads of work we need to do beforehand, and it's really difficult for us to do that work until we fully own this land. So please write them a letter, be polite. Of course, they're all lovely people, they're all local people trying to do good things for their town. So just ask them to help us to do something very good for our town. Okay, thank you very much.